So I can finally talk about this. Firaxis and 2K flew me out to Baltimore 2 weeks ago, and I was one of the first people in the world to play Civilization 7. I have a lot to say. I really need a lot of time to gather my thoughts. I've been playing Civilization, the Civilization franchise, for 15 years at this point, a little bit longer. I started with the Xbox version, Civilization Revolution, believe it or not. That's really what pulled me in. And then I started playing Civilization here on YouTube, Civilization 5 here on YouTube like 11 years ago. That was really, and actually a little bit before that on a different channel. So that's really what started my whole YouTube career off. I feel extremely close to the Civilization franchise. You can still go back and look at my main channel videos and see the oldest videos that I was making at that time in like 2013 were all Civ 5 playthroughs. So my heart shares a very I feel very connected to this series. It's still one of my favorite series to play. I haven't played those games in a while here on YouTube because I feel like I've done everything that I really wanted to do in Civ 5 and Civ 6, but I also feel extremely lucky because I have some of the most viewed Civilization 5 and Civilization 6 videos on YouTube as a whole. I don't think I have the most viewed out of creators. Of course, like the trailers get the most views, but I'm very lucky that I think my AI-only playthroughs, my AI-only world battles in Civ 5 and in Civilization 6, they got millions of views, and it's got one of the top, I think, 10. But so I feel, I love it. It's obviously a passion of mine. Before I jump into like some of the new changes, and I'll be honest, if you're watching this video, you probably already know the new changes, more than likely. But I just want to go back and do a quick recap. So every Civilization game, specifically that I've played, has had a big feature change that completely, changes the way the series works. From Civ 4 to Civ 5, they finally implemented the only one unit per tile rule. That took some time, to get used to, but overall that was a great idea. I did not like the giant death stacks that Civilization was known for before that moment, and you then kind of had to strategize on how you were actually going to take over someone's city or capital because you couldn't put just everybody on the same tile. Then cut to the transition between Civ 5 to Civ 6. Civ 6 removed everything from just the city center, and you can actually see your city expanding through the outside. You actually had to build buildings outside of the actual city center. That I think, in my opinion, was probably the biggest change from Civ 5 to Civ 6. I also want to say that before I got to play Civilization 7, I'm like sitting back and trying to predict, okay, what is the public going to be most mad about? And because it's always going to happen with every game, especially strategy games, but more than just strategy games. Like when a game has predecessors that has been out for years and that's had years of updates, of course it's going to be better than the games that are newly released. That's just how it goes nowadays. So I'm trying to figure out what's going to piss people off the most. Because believe it or not, when Civ 5 just released, Civ 5 was not a good game. It was a mess when it released in September 2010. I remember because I was there. I was on the Civ forums. I was watching all the chaos. People didn't like that. Fun fact, people think Civ 5 is the best of the entire franchise. Civilization Vanilla without the expansions was not good. It was really bad. It wasn't until the 2 expansions that it became arguably the best in the franchise. Then Civ 6 launches, and looking back, back in 2015, 16, like before it was actually released. So I think when they first dropped gameplay in 2016, it was 2016, and it was all about the graphics. People hated the cartoony art style. I didn't love it either that much, but I didn't really have a problem with it. It was kind of just like whatever. So that was like the big thing that everyone was pissed off about. It's funny when you look back now because everyone forgets that, but at the time in 2016, everyone was so mad at the art style. Now it is going to be the era system, more than likely. So if you didn't know, there is now going to be kind of leader swapping and culture changes, where you can kind of switch cultures, and it's more building cultures on top of each other. Imagine London, that's the example that they gave us, and that's the example that all the other creators that I met there are using. London was initially like a Roman settlement, and then it becomes an English settlement, and then the British Empire and all that stuff. Boom, 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 boom. But I'm just gonna be honest. I don't like it. Like I don't like this. I'm not a fan of this new era changes. For me, when I play a civilization game, I want to be a singular nation. And even from like a creator standpoint, it's like that is how I package a video to get people to watch, right? Like from the beginning of time, from the beginning of when Civilization started being made as like watchable content here on YouTube, it's always, the videos themselves are always marketed as like Civilization 4 as Germany or as Egypt or as blank. Now I think you can maybe still figure that stuff out in Civ 7, but it's like if I'm going to want to do a playthrough of Civilization 7 playing as Germany, I guess I can say I'm going to eventually be Germany, guys. Please just wait. But first I have to be Egypt. I still can do it, and that's probably how I'm going to do it like that, but it's still a little like I don't love it. I don't love it that much. And everyone, the other thing that, so with the era system, because that is the most controversial thing that people are feeling right now, that also brings comparisons to Humankind and I guess Millennia. I'll be honest, the reason why I didn't like those games was because of that feature. Like I wasn't really a fan of either one of those games that much. I liked that they tried to push the envelope, because that's what they have to do, as trying to compete as a 4X game against Civilization. You have to push the envelope, so I like that they tried, but the reason why I didn't like those games is because of that feature. So I'm a little bit worried, and I just want to say that there's possibility that I'll change my mind, but I just am like not super excited about this. I'm still going to play the game. I'm still interested to see because I only got to play like 100 turns, so maybe I will feel differently. But I have to say I'm not super excited. I started this video off talking about the biggest changes between the last couple installments between Civilization games, Civ 5, Civ 6, Civ 7. I just want to say that I don't blame them for moving in this direction because it does make sense. Like you kind of have to try to do something like this, because the silly thing about Civ 5 and Civ 6 and all the games up until this point is like, when you play as a civilization that's technically like a late game civilization, like America. So like when you play as America, America is a country that relatively recently in history just formed, 1776. So it's kind of weird when you're playing as the USA and it's the year 5000 BC. So I completely understand why they did this, and it does make sense. I also want to say that I really trust Ed Beach. I've always been a fan of Ed Beach. He is I keep forgetting his technical title, but he's one of the main leads here for Civ 7. I mean, Ed Beach, in my opinion, saved Civ 5 because if I remember correctly my history, he was brought in for the Gods and Kings and Brave New World expansion, and he turned Civ 5 into a great game. And then he led Civ 6, which has obviously been a very great game. So I do really trust him here. But yes, I at the back of my mind when I was at the event, couldn't help but think that like this, I could maybe imagine a world where if we do get a Civilization 8 one day, they kind of go back on this and they maybe kind of tone it down or do something different here. I've seen some people complain about the era system because there's only 3 changes. I guess you're only going to make 3 culture changes or civilization changes or whatever. I'm glad it's only 3 personally, because I know some people want more. I'm like, no, don't give me more. Do not give me more. I feel okay with 3. I think it would be worse if you add more on top. But that's kind of how I'm feeling. And again, there's great things that I really am excited for when it comes to Civilization 7. I love the removal of workers. Workers are just annoying. Well, why you know what I mean? Like, I never really thought about it, but workers were always a liability. I got to protect them. It's like they were just annoying. So I'm glad we don't have to worry about workers anymore. I'm glad that now naval units are going to be able to cross through rivers. Finally, love that change. I love the art style. Great choice with the art style. I think they definitely learned their lesson after Civ 6 released and the internet just blew up about being all mad about the Civ 6 art style. It's a nice combination, I think, of like, I don't know if it's realism and I don't even know how to describe it, but it looks good. It looks beautiful. It looked beautiful when I was playing it on like the 4K monitor. So I think they did a good job with that. Although I do see some similarities visually also with Humankind. It is possible. I just want to mention it is possible that all those games, like, all the jokes are that, Civilization 7 is just like, or Firaxis is just copying Humankind. It is absolutely possible that all three studios got the same idea around the same time. And the truth is that Humankind just got pumped out earlier. Millennia just got pumped out earlier. Remember that Firaxis was working on Civ 7 and then they got slowed down because of COVID. We don't know. I don't know if we'll ever know, but it's so possible that Sid Meier's and whoever was leading the Civilization 7 team back in 2016 knew that this was the direction they were always going to go in the future. So just kind of keep that in mind. I don't think it's fair to say that Civilization is copying anyone really. So that stuff makes sense. I'm trying to think of other things. I will say I enjoyed my time playing through the game. Like I said, I played like 100 turns in the game. I didn't do the culture shift or I didn't switch civs or whatever. I didn't get to experience that yet, but I had a fun time playing in my playthrough. The fun thing about a Civ game is that no matter how much changes they bring, the first 50 turns to 75 to 100, still going to feel like a Civ game. There's going to be like changes here and there, but if you played a Civ game before, those first 100 turns, they feel very familiar, very nostalgic. I was enjoying my time, like I said. Just to give a brief run through, I don't have my B-roll, and again, that's why I'm not putting B-roll in this video, because I figured if you guys are watching this, you probably already know about the whole Civilization 7 thing. You've already seen the trailers. You've seen other creators and their content. But I did pretty good in my playthrough. I tried to be peaceful. Honestly, I was trying to get through the game as fast as possible. I didn't really want to go to war because I knew war would slow down my time. We only had like 3 to 4 hours in the game, so I just wanted to kind of try to click through as much as possible just to get as far into the game as possible, to see as much as possible. Unfortunately, and I started off in the middle of the map, unfortunately, a southern civ started to attack me. I got extremely close to losing my capital, but I pulled it together. I stopped his invasion. I returned the favor, he started the war machine going for me. So I started building up all these units, and I'm like, well, once I stopped his invasion, I'm like, what am I going to do with all these units? I guess we have to go attack him. Destroyed him down in the south, took that same army, destroyed another neighbor, and then I was about to destroy the last civilization. I mean, I hadn't declared the war yet, but I just needed one more. So I almost achieved a domination victory. I probably would have done it like all within like 125 turns, something like that. I was playing on just a standard difficulty. Again, I'm just kind of bringing this point up because if you have played other games before, that's all going to feel very familiar. But I didn't get to do one of the era changes, so we'll see how that goes. But again, I just want to mention I do understand why they went in this direction, and the direction makes a whole lot of sense. You kind of have to. Even if I'm one of the developers, I probably do the same thing too. I do the leader swapping. I do the leader culture building, culture swapping thing because that just makes the most sense on the surface. But as a creator and as a player, I am worried because, like I said, I haven't been interested in other 4X games that do this, and I'm really kind of interested on how I'm going to market these videos here on YouTube, how I'm going to get people to watch my playthroughs here on YouTube. Do I be like, oh, playing as Julius Caesar, who's leading ancient Egypt, who eventually turns into the United States of America? Like, what is that? I don't know. But there's more. The game developers are not worried about that at all. They cannot worry about that. They know the creators are just going to figure things out. So we'll see. But anyways, let me know your thoughts down below. See you next time.